episode of Spill the Beans. I'm so excited because today we're going to be talking to two very special guests, but one in particular, Mr. Hal Wright. He is not only a veteran, but he also served in the Vietnam War. He's an entrepreneur, a great mentor of mine, and honestly, in the end, just a dear friend and a good human being. Now, Hal and Al, what a great combo. They've been friends for about 10 or so years now. I've never really asked you guys, how did you meet exactly?
Partner, why don't you take a stab at that and then I'll go.
We met in Costa Rica. I had some businesses down there, and one of my partners said, hey, there's this fella, a lawyer that we knew out on the West Coast, thought we ought to meet. I'm gonna bring him by the office. And Al came by the office, just a casual meeting, and we started talking. And I heard his incredible business story of corporate enterprise and big companies and whatnot. And he said he wasn't doing that anymore. In fact, he had decided to go back to where he came from, the Copens region of Honduras, and help the people that he used to work with. The guy used to schlep coffee bags up and down the mountain when he was a kid. Oh, that's really interesting. I don't know anything about coffee, but he does, and so we got to talking more and more, and basically he told me that in the coffee business, the farmers are really hurting globally. They don't get paid anything. They can't pay their bills, and he felt that he wanted to pay them an honest wage, and help out. And I thought, well, what a noble thing to do. And so I was kind of retired, you know. I got a few things here and there, but I wanted to learn more. So I said, let's go to Honduras. I wanted to go to the farm.
Wow.
Finca Terrerito. And so he took me down there, and I learned that this is the real deal. I mean, Al had purchased this land, I guess it was family land, and developed a farm, a model farm. I mean, compared to what the people down there and the poor farmers with a mule and whatnot, he had it all going on. And I met lots of wonderful people. I was impressed that Al's mother ran the show down there.
Oh, does she?
Abuela. And he had some great employees that he took off the streets that had a hard time and turned them around. And I thought that was great. So I became a fan.
And when was this? So you...
8 or 9 years ago.
Wow, so about maybe how long until after you guys met? You know what I mean, that you went to the farm?
Pretty soon.
Really?
Yeah.
You trusted him that quickly?
No.
Wow. Good for you.
Ale, when we met in Costa Rica, Hal, like you said, entrepreneur as well, extremely successful. I mean, you're looking at the man that went to Wall Street and rang the bell when they did an IPO. Really phenomenal story, but our chemistry was just there. We felt good things. He was trying to do great things in Costa Rica. I was trying to do good things in Honduras. So Hal is a man of action. He said, Al, let me go see this thing. Let's see if it's real. And then once he saw it and he identified with the cause and the people, he said, Al, I'm going to help you. And that's what he's been doing all these years, is really helping us. At Finca Tea, Hal is like an uncle. He's very much loved down there.
So. And you guys have this dynamic where, correct me if I'm wrong, but your values and ethics really align from my perspective at least. How do you guys manage to be such a great team,
For me, the first thing is there's a lot of mutual respect for each other, Ale, and we want to help people be better in life, help this world be a better place. Now, you haven't seen the two of us doing a car ride for 8 hours. Ale, we get into each other's hair. different
hand that's
views.
left.
Big time.
Yeah.
Some of us have more than others.
We have different views on politics. We have different
Okay.
views on a lot of
Yeah.
things, but ultimately we're good friends.
You still respect
And-
the differences.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah,
what,
but-
do you have to say about it, Hal?
Well, the most important reason why I hang out with this guy is he needs my help. He has this corporate experience, accounting, CFOs, used to flying around in company jets
Yeah.
like that. And I come from a different world,
Yeah.
a world of startups. So I hang around just to let him know that it's a new ball game now, and
Yeah.
I try to keep him grounded.
Good. I'm glad. Without you, I don't know what I would do. You know. Now, when it comes to your experience, your first experience ever at the farm, was there anything that just blew you out of the water? You know, shocked you? What type of impression did you have your first time visiting Finca Terrerito?
I thought it was magic.
Really?
I've been around. I lived in Costa Rica for 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of farms and things
Yeah.
like that, and I said, this guy's got something going on. He's a leader, and he's a manager.
And you saw that right away.
Absolutely. Then I saw really a affection. I mean, like I hung out with the coffee farmers and picking and loading that stuff, and they were. Their families were there. Often itinerant coffee pickers come and they bring their families and they sleep in the fields.
I know.
I mean, he
They
had
work so
dorms,
hard.
you know. He's even got a ambulance for the farm.
Yeah.
And,
It's really
so-
improving the lives. of
Yeah,
this community.
and I saw that some of the neighboring farmers wanted whatever he's got.
Yeah.
And these are people that are not necessarily great businessmen. They're used to having somebody buy their coffee on the cheap,
Right.
and so they follow him. So he has the ability to. This is a good idea.
Yeah.
It's here to stay, and
Right.
he can grow this to whatever he wants to. And the one other key thing, it's great coffee.
Yeah, it really is. You know, I mean, but from an outsider's perspective, you know, even though you're basically like family to us, from an outsider's perspective, it's good to know that you truly enjoy our coffee. You know, you're not being as biased because you would set it to us straight. I know you would.
You know, I hand out a coffee to my friends and colleagues here. I live in a small town up north.
Mhm.
You know, I'm batting 1,000. Nobody says, "Well, that's okay." They all say, "This is great coffee,"
Right.
and they're bugging me all the time.
Yeah.
So we have great coffee. We have a great mission. And coffee is one of the, I have learned, one of the most traded commodities in the world.
Yeah.
Tough business, but we want to carve out our niche, and our niche is helping out the
Yeah.
farmers in Honduras, in this lovely area, the Copens region.
Yeah.
And that's our primary focus, Ale, as you know, Honduras. But Hal and I have jumped on a plane ride to Ethiopia.
I was just gonna ask you guys about that. So
Go big or
perfect.
go home.
Yeah, what was that like? I mean, why didn't you take me? Why couldn't I go?
Well, this was the first exploratory visit, Ale.
Okay.
Now you're coming next.
Yeah, there'll be another trip.
No, it was a phenomenal experience. We quickly learned that the world is small after all. The issues of the coffee farmers in Ethiopia are very much the same issues that we have in Honduras and Central America. The bottom line, coffee farmers are not getting anywhere near what they should be for their hard work, for their great crop, and we're trying to make a difference on that.
And what was your experience like in Ethiopia? What was your perspective?
Well, again, not being a coffee expert, I was aware that coffee was kind of invented in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And we had some contacts that introduced us to the coffee farmers, and they're the same as the Honduran coffee farmers and the Guatemalan coffee farmers. They're all in the same boat. They're not getting paid, and they have great coffee. So we're trying to expand our horizons
Yeah.
with different coffees.
What a great experience to go to Ethiopia together and just find a new perspective and see what it's like, not just in Honduras, but in those regions as well.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell her the little joke you played on me that you put me in front of 25,000 people to give a speech?
Well, I contacted in Ethiopia was a bishop in a Lutheran church,
okay,
and he
yes.
had a big following. In fact,
Yeah.
I used to call him the Billy Graham of Ethiopia. And the day after we got there, he was having a graduation for a school he owns, and we go to this graduation. He invites us up, puts us on the stage, and there's 10,000 people in the audience, and they're really into it.
Yeah.
And so we're just passive listening. It's great. But it turned out that the keynote speaker, the minister of the interior of Ethiopia, called and said, it's going to be 30 minutes late. And the bishop then turns to Al and says, Al, can you fill in for 30 minutes? And so here's Al standing up
And here's you
10,000
pushing him
people,
up into the stage,
No, I looked at Hal when the bishop asked. I looked at Hal. I'm like, Hal. He goes, man up. I said, what am I going to talk about? He goes, I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
He knocked it out of the park.
And aren't you glad he did? He pushed you to do that?
Absolutely. You know, as I was walking up the steps, I was asking God, for one, don't let me get sick now, because I felt my stomach. But two, I said, what do I say? And it just came to me, I am in the motherland of coffee.
Yeah.
This is where coffee was allegedly invented. The people in my audience are all coffee lovers. So we have that thing in common, and I kicked it off talking about that, and then I moved on to my corporate career, but it was well received. So
Awesome.
And interestingly, there were parents, there's a graduation ceremony in the audience that afterwards came up to Al. They own coffee farms.
Yeah.
They wanted to talk. What could we do? And so
That's
it was a good
incredible.
business pitch too.
yeah.
Hal, we have a special request. All right, so there's a question coming in from Honduras, from Marcial, our farm director at Finca Terrerito. So Hal hasn't heard what this question is.
Uh-oh.
Complete surprise. All right, so Captain Hal, now that you have witnessed the sacrifice coffee farmers go through, what are your thoughts on the fact that they are not paid enough for their crop to live a life of dignity?
I think it's a terrible situation. I think big business takes advantage of it. And I think some of us have got to change that. We're not talking about big dollars here. So these people are getting paid more, and you can see their lives are greatly improved. The neighbors in the region want to be a part of that. And Al, because of his business experience, knows how to run a business. He doesn't mess around. And he's the patron down there. And we just need to spread the message. It's just the right thing to do. The coffee's good. Doesn't cost any more than anybody else's coffee. It's tough. It's a big business.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps it up. I hope you all enjoyed. Any last minute thoughts, Hal? Anything you'd like to tell the audience?
Folks, you need to buy our coffee. It's great. It helps the cause. It helps expand the concept, and you'll feel good about it.
And for me to just second what Hal said, fellow viewers, please help us out, continue to help us out. Every time you have a cup of coffee in your hand, ask yourself the three magical questions. Do I know where this coffee is coming from? What country? What part of the world? 2, do I know who farmed this coffee? Where am I making a difference to that coffee farming family? And number 3, do I know who roasted this coffee? Also the same thing. The coffee roasters are artists. They do a magical job. Get to know them, start a dialogue. The more we know, the better off this world's going to be. Thank you.
Completely agree. Thank you so much, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Spill the Beans. Thank you, Hal, for joining us, and Al. So until next time, we'll see you then. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So long.